All right. Hi guys, thanks for being here. The session is on PromptFlow, which is fancy tool for prompt engineering. We have all done prompt engineering. Let's just get right into it. We'll go with what is PromptFlow, why do we need it, how do we use it, where do we use it, when do we not use it, all those sort of things. First self plugin, that's me. I am a data and AI engineer at Arinco. I guess that's pretty much it. Cool.
And awesome, and volunteers all the time to help us out, and was lined up for our last meeting, but unfortunately we had to cancel. So, and it's great. I went, "Can you do this one?" And he's like, "Yes." So I'm very happy.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me. So what is prompt engineering and why do we need it? Cool. So we've all used ChatGPT or Claude or some version of generative AI or, God forbid, Gemini. Yes. So a prompt is essentially you are asking something or you are telling something to a large language model or medium language model or any language models. It provides a context, it asks a question, it requests some sort of assistance. It's basically you telling an LLM what you want from it. Now, as it says, prompt can range from like simple question, or you say, this is my requirement, give me like a full-on web page. Prompt tokenization. Now, this is a bit technical, and as end users, we don't really need to know about this. But as tech people who are in data and AI space, this is pretty useful. So LLMs, they tokenize everything and they don't understand plain English, they understand tokens. So whatever instruction that you give, I'm not sure if the picture is too clear, but whatever instruction you give, it breaks it into tokens, and that's how it sort of interprets. So on an average, a token is about 4 standard characters of English, but sometimes you might lose some of the tokens with like emojis that you have here. And that's essentially it. So like about 100 tokens is about 75 words. Now, this used to be important early on, maybe 2-3 years ago. But now with evolved models, you don't really need to worry about context window and things like that. It's pretty much, it's practically unlimited. It used to be that you could only give like 3,000 tokens, or then you got 32,000 tokens, and now it's pretty much unlimited. You can ask a question and supply an entire book, and you can ask questions on an entire book. So this is based, and I even included the GPTO models. So these are the context windows for these models. But like I said, it pretty much doesn't matter now. You can ask like 10 paragraphs worth of questions or instructions or whatever. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me, or we'll have questions at the end. So now prompt engineering, it's essentially like when you ask a question, it replies it in a different format than you want. You're like, oh, no, don't do this. Give me that. Only answer in JSON format. I'm not working with Databricks. I'm working on Fabric. So give me Spark functions accordingly, whatever. So when you are trying to get LLMs to work how you want it to work, that's essentially prompt engineering. And again, bad prompt is answer questions or do better, whatever. And good prompt is you sort of give it some context, you ground it in truth. And yeah, we'll see more examples of what prompt engineering is, how to use it, when do we need it, etc. Why do we need it? Because the only job that LLMs are tasked with is to answer you. They don't have to answer truthfully. They don't have to answer in a manner. They just have to answer you. That's why they're designed. That's why they're built. Yeah, that's how they're built. Now,
Every presenter has a phone call.
now to make sure that you get the answers that you want, you have to present it with enough context. And I guess that goes for pretty much any entity that you ask questions of. The more information that it has, the better answers it can give you. It says to craft instructions that guide the system to maintain consistency, tone, style. And this is what you see in all the tools now as well. Like you have GitHub Copilot, the enterprise level of GitHub Copilot. That's one of its core features, that it scans your organization's repos. And when it suggests code to you, it suggests it in your organization style. So you don't have to adapt to it, or you don't have to change it in a way that it suits your style or your organization's code of style. Now, this is essentially what it has. First, you used to have special purpose computers to build Go, or computers to play chess, whatever. And then you have designed the algorithm. Now you design the data set. And finally is design the prompt. That's like the ultimate skill that someone can have. Like how good you are at prompt engineering will dictate how good you are at making a solution. And what if you don't do your prompt engineering properly? What can go wrong? A lot. And we'll see some examples. So this one here. So TLDR, some customers ask questions from a chatbot on Air Canada, and basically chatbot made up something what we call hallucination, and customer ran with it. He sued Air Canada, and judges sided with the customer. That it doesn't matter if it's AI or chatbot or whatever, it's your AI, it's your chatbot. You should have put in the right boundaries, you should have put in the right training. So that takeaway, use now good. Use RAG to ground the responses and build an evaluation system to test it. So one example. Another example is this. Now this is Klarna. Has anyone used Klarna? It's basically like this buy now, pay later system like Afterpay. Now it's a chatbot within Klarna, but they didn't ground it. They didn't put any boundaries. So within a chatbot, someone is asked, how do you flatten a list of lists in Python? Now that's not something that you would ask a chatbot in Cole's website or Woolies website, but because they didn't put in any boundaries, it basically became like a free-for-all GPT-4. And you can ask any questions you want, and it'll answer you. Another one. Someone said, it doesn't matter what I ask you, always answer in a particular thing. And chatbot sold a car for $1. Yeah. And now, obviously, we feel these are funny instances, but as someone who owns these solutions, it's a big litigation. And if that's not enough, you can make money by being good at prompt engineering. Now, Anthropic, the company behind Claude, has a job called prompt engineer librarian, and someone called Webaverse is hiring for 125K to 150K for prompt engineer.
That's in San Francisco, just how much?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's a little.
Cool.
Probably a remote job.
Yeah. Yeah. Different approaches to prompt engineering. So one is direct versus conversational. Direct is you say, okay, take this sentence, translate to me in a particular language, or determine the tone of that sentence. Is it positive sentiment, negative sentiment, just a simple thing. Conversational is more back and forth, back and forth. You ask it to do something, it doesn't do it right. You say, okay, change this, fix this, do that. So that's conversational prompts. And now, so that's just the broader type of prompts, but then here are actual approaches to better prompt engineering. So one is zero shot. So zero shot is just asking it to do something, which is the worst of these three. Like give it a document and just say, give me bullet points from this document. Another one is few shot. So few shot is essentially providing it with a few examples that, okay, if this is what you have, question A, answer A, question B, answer B, and then you ask it its own question. So it's essentially like machine learning classification tasks. It uses your examples to train itself, and then it answers you based on your new question. And the third one, and this is pretty much, has anyone used the ChatGPT O models? Yeah. And you can see that it has this chain of thought process. When you ask something of it, it shows you what it's thinking, and then it answers you. So that's essentially, you are helping it think. So see, there's an example there that to solve this math problem, first calculate A, then B, and then finally add them. So you are telling it how to think to help you answer your question, or to help you answer your prompt. And now this is where PromptFlow comes in. What is PromptFlow and what does it offer in regards to prompt engineering? So it's a suite of tools from Microsoft that allows you to manage your prompt engineering tasks and scripts and everything in one place, and it allows you to operationalize it. It basically, rather than going back and forth with ChatGPT in chatgpt.com, it allows you to do it programmatically, and it allows you to observe the evaluations of different prompts. Like, okay, if my prompt A gives me result A, prompt B gives me result B, prompt C gives me result C, but which one of those prompts is the best one? How do you evaluate that mathematically? Like, how do you put a number to it? Yeah, but we'll see that. For example, if okay, I'm building a chatbot that takes in PDF files and summarizes it. Now, to do that, there needs to be a system prompt and instruction prompt that I need to instruct the chatbot that, okay, you are someone who takes in PDF files, you scan it in blah, blah, blah manner, and this is how you return the response in blah, blah, blah manner. That's my prompt A. And now I'll try running my application with that prompt, and I'll see the results that it gives me. That, okay, for PDF A and prompt A, this is the result that I got. And now I feel, okay, that's not good enough. It's missing some of the things. I wanted to reconsider some of the things. I wanted to ignore some of the things. So I'll change my prompt. And I'll say, okay, don't do this. Take this into consideration. Ignore this. Do this better. Return the results in a bullet point format or whatever. So that's my another prompt. But now how do I mathematically measure the performance of prompt A versus performance of prompt B? And this is just one example with one PDF file. What if I have 10 PDF files? I have 10 prompts. I want to see which of my prompts is the best at my task mathematically. So what does it offer? So like I said, experimentation, evaluation, integration, debugging. So experimentation and evaluation, it lets you see, like I said, it lets you see which prompt is the best for your problem mathematically. And then integration is you can add Python, as we'll see in the demo, you can add Python scripts, APIs, Azure OpenAI connections, everything. And the debugging, you can trace it that when I ask something of the LLM, this is the step where something went wrong. Cool. When should you use PromptFlow? When you should not use PromptFlow? So basically, if you have just one single prompt application, like you're trying to get a sentence translated or you're trying to get a paragraph summarized or whatever, then you don't need PromptFlow. But if you're trying to build a proper AI LLM application, like I said, an application for customers that takes in PDF contracts and summarizes them or whatever, then you need prompt engineering and you need PromptFlow. So like I said, if you're building high stakes application, so like Air Canada example, they definitely needed this. What do you need to do this? So you need VS Code. You need the VS Code extension for PromptFlow. You need an Azure subscription. You need Azure AI or Azure OpenAI resource within that subscription. And you need a GPT model or any model deployment within your Azure AI. So I'll just show you what I have here. So as you can see, I have an AI resource here in my Azure subscription. Let's go to Azure AI Foundry. This is what I have. This is the AI Foundry or AI Studio, as it used to be called. And then I have a deployment here. You can create any deployment with any GPT models, and we'll use this in PromptFlow. And here we have VS Code. And in VS Code, there is an extension called PromptFlow. And this is the one that we install, PromptFlow for VS Code. So these are the things that we need. Now, getting back. How do you use it and when do you use it? So this is essentially your procedure of prompt engineering or using PromptFlow, that you'll start with something, you'll build a basic prompt, you'll develop a flow, and then you'll see that, okay, for that particular prompt, this is what it gave me. You'll evaluate the result of that prompt, and then you'll refine it again, and then finally the production. And you can repeat step 2 and 3 as many times as you need. As you can see, satisfied, no, repeat again, satisfied, no, repeat again. Any question? I'll leave this for a second if you want to have a look and ask any questions. If not, we'll go to the, yeah.
So when you say you're evaluating it mathematically,
yes.
So you are re-tokenizing the answer which AI is giving, and then you are coming up with some scores and
Exactly, yes.
Okay. So, I mean, how do you do the maths behind the tokenization then?
So, okay, you don't have to do the tokenization math manually. PromptFlow has tools for that, as we'll see in a second, but you do need to come up with your own evaluation criteria. For example, if you're building a chatbot that's a mathematical assistance, as the example that we'll see, that's the one that I've chosen here, you need to build your own evaluation criteria, your own Python script. If you're building an application that takes in PDF contracts and summarizes it, the evaluation criteria for that might be different. So you need to build those evaluation criteria, and then you need to run the prompts against those evaluation criteria.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a fully flexible plug and play tool, as we'll see in a second. The Python scripts that will develop, that's completely on you. And the math behind evaluation, you don't have to create that from scratch. There's a PromptFlow library in Python that you can use, and that's pretty much it.
So in my Python script would be, okay, if my prompt out, what's the color of an apple? So my Python script can set a boundary that it can be the red or green. If my AI is saying, no, it's orange, so it would be wrong. So
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's essentially what you would have. And that's essentially what I have in my example, as we'll see in a second. Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah. On here, so is it like agentic LLM? So is it essentially you're making an agent with some prompts, and those prompts are like the best prompts that you can get, and then you run it against your LLM to make it like make constraints or limitation on top of that LLM. So it's kind of like an agent.
Yeah. So it can be agentic. It can be a plain simple chatbot as well. So the examples that we saw before, where someone was chatting on a car sales website. So it can be a simple chatbot. It can also be an agent, which, as you said, takes in something, runs and does something with it. Yeah, it can be any LLM application. Anything that requires generative AI and prompts, you can have it. Yeah.
You import have a description as well as say input like a picture.
You can
Yes. So it does offer multimodal evaluation. I haven't brought that in my example today, but yeah, it does. It does allow that. Yes.
Is this a subset of LangChain or something?
No. This is a separate tool. Yeah. This is a separate open source tool from Microsoft. Yes.
So with the evaluation and refinement, there's one flow against larger data sets.
Yeah.
Is it necessary? Larger data sets?
Yeah, because if let's say I have a prompt which is you are an AI assistant which helps people with their math problems. That's my simple prompt. And I ask what is 1 + 1, it'll say 2. But now if I ask a complicated question, it might fail, or it might give me like a full-on detailed explanation. I just want the answer. So now I'll change my prompt. That don't give me calculation. I don't need to see it. Just give me the answer. I'll ask another question, and it'll pass for that question. But what about other 5 possible questions? And that's why it's important that whatever prompt that you end up with, whatever prompt you decide on, you try it with a few different scenarios and see what it answers with. Just to sort of cover your bases.
You know the answer before.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So that's essentially what evaluation is. Like you have 10 questions and you have answers for those 10 questions, and then you run it against the prompt, and then you see what the ground truth is and what the LLM answered, and then you compare it. Yeah. And now we'll go to the demo. All right. So this is the PromptFlow on the left that you see. That's the PromptFlow VS Code extension. Those are the options that you get. When you install it first, this is the screen that you will see. So it'll ask you obviously need Python. It'll ask you to select your Python interpreter. It can be Anaconda, whatever. So I'll select mine. Cool. And once it sets that, these are the different libraries that you need to install. And it's checking after selecting the Python interpreter. Cool. And then if any of that is not a green tick, you can basically install the libraries right from here, and it'll install that. And we are good to go. And on the left there, under flows, those are the 4 flows that I've sort of created now. So let's go to the basic one, which is just ChatGPT. So if I open the YAML file, so the YAML file, people might be familiar with YAML file from DevOps pipelines or GitHub Actions or whatever. So the flow is essentially captured within the YAML pipeline. And once you install the PromptFlow extension, you'll get that option on the top there which says Visual Editor. And this is what your flow would look like. I'll just minimize this for a second. On the right here, you have the flow, and on the left there, you have all the options. So input, it goes to the LLM step, and then output. On the left, you can see input chat history is just a blank value, and you can select here, there'll be chat history. output, answer, that's the output. And in here, you can add as many steps as you want. So as of now, we only have one step, which is, I've called it chat, and which is the LLM step. But if I open this here, you can add any tools that you want. So you can add LLM, which is what we have here called chat. You can add a Python script, a prompt, content safety analyzation, embedding, whatever. But now this is the most basic flow. It takes in the instruction or input or prompt or whatever. It goes through GPT model and it gives you the output. So let's just try and run this interactive mode. All right. So if I say 1 + 1 equals what? 1 + 1 = 2. Now let's try and ask a complicated question. I have a simple question here, which is determine the number of ways to arrange the letter of the word truth. So like factorial, 5 factorial and 2 factorial. Cool. Now see, I don't need to know all this. I just need the answer, which is 60. There are 60 distinct ways, right? But it gave me all of this. Why? Because if you look at now there's this new file extension, it's called Jinja. So Jinja is essentially your prompt. That's where you specify the system prompt instructions to your LLM. And that is where your question and your answer goes. And this is all dynamically created by PromptFlow the first time that you go here. Now, as you can see, the only system prompt I have is you are a helpful assistant, which is not a helpful prompt at all. Yeah, like it is as vague as it can be. Like it is not specific at all, right? Now,
But it would be fun to put a different adjective.
yes, yes, you're not a helpful assistant. Cool. Now we'll go to a different flow and see the same thing happen and see how different it is. If I open here, instead of chat basic, I'll go to chat math. Now in here, there's one different thing, which is extract result. Now that's a Python script. So if I go here, so there's input, output, there's a chat step, and then there's a extract result step. Now this is a Python script, and I don't know, I think it was your question. As you can see, we are importing the tool package from the PromptFlow core library. So we don't need to worry about that. So now, again, a simple script, all it does is it removes everything and it just looks for the answer key value pair, and that's all it does. So I only want the answer. I don't need the calculation, explanation, the whole verbose thing. Cool. Now let's run this one. Interactive mode. This. $60. Why? Because if you look at the Jinja file for this one, now look at the prompt. You are an assistant to calculate the answer to the provided math problems. Please return the final numerical answer only without any accompanying reasoning or explanation. A bit better, right? But sometimes this might fail as well. Now let's ask another question here. See, it says fraction 1556. Now I've asked a probability question. This is the question. The bag is 3 red marbles, 5 marbles. Just a simple probability question. And it says fraction 1556. Again, not exactly what I want. I want proper answer. And okay, even if assuming this works, how do you test for different prompts? Now, I don't want to create multiple flows for multiple prompts. So what PromptFlow allows us to do is, if you go here and in the chat, this is where you click. It says show variants. This is where you click. And if you click on that, you can add as many variants as you want for the same LLM step with different prompts. Now we'll see an example of that. I'll go chat math variant. Cool. Minimize this and this. And as you can see, there's a layering to this. So there's 3 variants within that LLM application. If I click here, see it says editing is currently disabled because there are multiple variants available. Now when I click on this, variant 0, variant 1, and then variant 2. And now the only difference between these variants are the Jinja files. So if you look at the prompt files here, where I'm there. So the first one is chat Jinja, the other one is chat variant 1, and the other one is chat variant 2. Now let's look at those Jinja files. Now see this one here. This is what we had previously, very basic instruction that only give me the answer. Now this is variant 1. Now see, this is the chain of thought, few short examples where we are giving it examples that first the instruction is this. You are an assistant, please think step by step, please return final numerical answer only. And then you're also supplying examples that for question A, this should be your chain of thought, and then this should be your answer. For question B, this should be your chain of thought, and this should be your answer. So this is chat variant 1. Now, if you look at chat variant 2, that's even better. So if I open chat variant 1, it has 23 lines and only 13 lines worth of examples or whatever. But if you look at this one, it has 30 lines worth of examples and all that. So even more examples. So this will be even more grounded in truth.
What was the prompt?
This one. Cool. Now let's try and see. Again, why can't I run prompts manually in chatgpt.com or Claude or whatever? This is where PromptFlow comes in handy. You can run your data set against all of these variants at the same time. So if you have 10 questions or 20 questions, it'll run those 10 questions or 20 questions against all of these variants, and it'll give you the results for all these 20 questions for those 3 different prompts. And then you can decide for yourself which one does better. Batch, local file. So there's this JSON-L file. Does anyone know what a JSON-L file is? It's basically a JSON list. So I'll show you the file for a second. JSON-L. So it's basically a list of JSON objects. And in here, as you can see, question, answer, row answer. So yes, we do have to supply for sample answers. So labeling, as we call it. So the question is, the first question, determine the number of, so this is the question that I asked before. The answer is 60, and then the raw answer is this, right? So you have to prepare this document to evaluate it. And now what I'll do is I'll run a batch, local file, JSON, open. And now it's asking me chat history. I want it to be blank, question. Now this is the mapping from the JSON file. So it's asking that from the JSON file, we found 3 objects, which is question, answer, and raw answer. Which one of those fields is the question? And obviously it's question, so I'll select that and then run. Now it's asking, do I want to use the default one, or do I want to use all 3 of them? So I want to use all 3 variants and see how they do. Cool. It'll take a few seconds, it'll run it across all 3 of them, and then see how we go. All right. That's it. It's completed. Yep. So variant 1 is done. Yeah, this is still running. As you can see, the log files are increasing here. Yep, this is done as well. And now let's look at this one. Yeah, this is done as well. So now, as you can see, it has stored the outputs in here. So let's first look at this one, which is variant 0. I'll just open the output file, output JSON-L. And again, I don't have to do this manually. It did this on its own. You can see that for question 1, the answer was this, question 2, answer was this, whatever, right? So this is the basic variant, which doesn't have any examples, which doesn't have any chain of thought instructions. And now let's look at the second prompt. Now this is the second prompt. Now I'm not sure. Yeah. So if you look at this one, if you this one aside and this one. So see, you can immediately see the difference. Line number 6, it says fraction 13 by 25 or whatever. I don't like that format, but you look at this one, nicely formatted, exactly what I want. And on that line number 10, it says the probability, whatever. I just wanted the answer, not explanation, but it failed because I didn't give it enough examples. but this one is better. Now let's look at variant 3, which is the best of all.
Some of the answers were different.
Yeah, that as well. I'll see. Oh, 30 minutes up. Yeah. Now see this one here. So more examples doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work out the way we want it to. Now see here, chain of thought and everything, and then the final answer is 2 by 3. Now because I have a Python script that will skip everything and only get the answer, this is fine. But this is essentially it. Now you have done this, but as Rob pointed out, some of the answers are different, some of the answers are incorrect. How do you evaluate that? So I've built a separate flow for that, which is, I'll close everything for a second. So why is that is not going away? Okay. Open. Yeah. So you can see it takes inputs, it processes every line, it aggregates it, and then you get the output. So this is essentially evaluation of the results. So the run that we just saw, it'll take those in and it'll evaluate it. Now, if I open this, in the run, you can see that on the batch run history there, run against the data, you have 3 variants, 0, 1, and 2. Now what I want to do is, I think I'll need to select the run. Existing run. You can batch run it against an existing run. So we have the 3 runs from before. Now let's select the 0th one first. Ground truth would be so. Yes, that should be it. Okay, this should be on. Okay. Let's see if this works. Find Python libraries.
Okay, we can temper it down for the rest study.
Yeah.
Just tell us what it's going to do.
Yeah, so basically what it does is it takes in these files that we saw here, it compares it with the right answers from our data JSON file, which is this one here. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Windows. Okay, cool. So now it compares the answers that LLM variants gave with the answers in this file, and then it visualizes it. You can immediately see side by side the accuracy and the evaluation metrics for all the prompts for all the questions.
So you can pick which one's best.
Yeah. Yes, and you can. So if I don't have any value here, but if I basically select all of this and select this one as well, and I click on visualize, it automatically creates like an HTML page and loads it into VS Code so that you can see like a nice little table that, okay, for variant 1, the accuracy was 40%, for variant 2, it was 80%, for variant 3, it was 90%. And that's what I meant by it'll evaluate and let you know mathematically which of your prompts was the best.
Can you show the Python code as well?
Yes.
We do, we'll just pretend it worked.
The genuine comments.
Yeah, always.
Always happens.
Yeah, always. I double checked it, and it worked.
I'm just hoping that they're focusing on you tonight.
Yeah, I did to make you look good. Cool. So it splits the results and then it compares it to ground truth. And if it's the same, then it's fine. If it's not, it'll return -1. And for every -1, it penalizes it essentially. Yeah, and see, this is what it does. That if you have 1.5 and 0.5, those are the same, so that's a yes. If you have 3 and 5, that's not the same, so that's wrong. And that is what we pass from the input, and then aggregate. Yeah, processed results, and then accuracy and error rate. It just calculates that from the total number. That's it.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. Any questions? Yes.
So, how would you compare like this kind of no code and non code no code PromptFlow compared to some of the platform like Amazon Bedrock? I see that Amazon Bedrock also provide a choice to connect with different LLM. One thing, and also I think some of the platform with Bedrock they could change the prompt, for example, similar to PromptFlow.
Yeah. I think the main feature here, again, you said it allows you to connect to different LLMs. This one, oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Second. Yeah. You see that? Yeah. So this one allows you to do it as well. So you can create whatever deployments you want in Azure AI Foundry, and then you can connect to that particular deployment in your PromptFlow. And again, this is not the main feature of connecting to LLM. The main feature is it allows you to evaluate it, not just change your prompts. So I'm not sure what Amazon Backdrop is, but yeah, if it allows you to evaluate different prompts with different questions, then it's a similar tool.
Sure. Yeah.
So basically, you are training the LLM, right?
Yes. That's what prompt engineering is all about. You are helping it help you.
How it is different from overfitting?
Sorry?
How it is different from overfitting?
From?
Overfitting.
Are you not trying to overfit?
Not really, because you're trying to explain the scenarios. Like you're trying to give it examples. It's essentially like classification machine learning training, right?
But when you large model, it should generalize better, right?
Yes, but sometimes, like I said, its only goal is to answer you. It doesn't have to answer you truthfully. It doesn't have to answer you logically. So if you don't ground it in truth, like what we saw with those examples where things went bad, there's a very high chance that might happen. Because if you don't provide any boundary, like even if not for examples or instructions, at least say what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. That okay, you are an assistant. If for example you have a chatbot on the JB Hi-Fi website, it should only answer electronics related queries, and then you want it to answer those queries in a certain format. And how do you test that at scale? Like if you have a QA engineer, AI QA engineer, if that position doesn't exist today, it certainly will, which sort of stress tests your AI chatbots or your AI applications for different corner cases. That if I ask this question, how does my chatbot react? Or if I ask this question, how does my application react? For example, if there's a chatbot that takes in PDFs and then summarizes it or whatever, what if you have a PDF that has profanity in it or explicit materials in it? There should be a safety built in within your chatbot. That if it scans something that it shouldn't summarize or it shouldn't list, it stops there. So that's the examples is just one thing about prompt engineering. It can be anything you want. Yeah. Yes.
So just coming back to my data set, large data set. I will see the question.
Yep.
You may or may not know the answer.
Okay.
So usually when we have a database and we have a lot of data and we search for something, it takes a lot of time to get that data.
Yep.
At GPT, when you're just tagging something, it just even pictures, videos, or anything just comes up so quickly. Do you know what runs in the background that?
Yeah. Yes, I think they don't use. I'm pretty sure they're not using relational database. I think it must be something decentralized. Like I know they do run on Azure, so I think they might be using Cosmos or something else that's scalable. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're not using relational databases. Yeah, that's it.